Good. You are all here. Let's proceed to the council chambers. You all know the way. I want to thank you for granting me a hearing before this august body. Although my memories have been only partially restored, I sense that I may have stood before you or among you in the past. I come before you today as an earth human, fully human in every sense of the word. I was born on earth, a product of a human mother and father. I was raised as a human. I was educated as a human. And I had all of the perceptual limitations built into my genetics as would be typical of a normal human. My team, which also joins me here today, are also entirely human. Our physical bodies remain on Earth right now, and we have all traveled here of our own accord and using only our own abilities. My physical body is currently in a near dormant condition, in a state known on Earth as deep meditation, while my team is fully awake on Earth, while their consciousness has shifted to this location using what humans would call a process of remote viewing. Now, my point is that we all stand before you as full humans. Except for a minor navigational incident where I was nearly intercepted en route by the Seacard, we found you using our own human abilities, and we came here using only our own human abilities. We desire only for you to hear what we have to say, and for you to hear what we have to ask of you as humans from our imprisoned planet Earth. As you are all fully aware, the war in the Orion system resulted in a large number of refugees to flee to Earth over a great many years. Their normal transference to the planet was to be born there. Eventually, the Orion authorities discovered the refugee outflow, and they sent their representatives to transform Earth into a prison planet, extending their tyranny yet again. Technology was installed that is well known in the Orion system that erases a subject's memory upon physical death, implants false memories, and then recycles the subject back into another human life cycle, essentially keeping a population under lock and key without an easy way of escape. Forces from the Galactic Federation of Worlds managed to disrupt the overt control over the planet by the Orion operatives a few thousand Terran years ago. Those same Orion operatives still performed their repressive duties, albeit on a more limited matter and from hidden retreats. But what is perhaps more disturbing is that the Orion operatives have become allies of convenience to reptilian forces that have established a serious presence on Earth. The real controllers of the planet now are the reptilians, while the Orion operatives act to do much of the reptilian bidding. The condition of humanity on Earth now is one of deep repression. Humans are kept in a constant state of division. Religions and political ideologies have been established that are used to pit one human group against another in a non-ending cycle of violence and terror. Humans too easily see each other as enemies, and they are powerless to break from this cycle of blame and retribution. Still, there has been progress of a limited nature. Humanity has started to regain some of its collective memory, as is evidenced by such things as human architecture, which now resembles a close parallel to the architecture typical in Orion cities. Humans have also developed sizably in the realm of technology, and if they were left alone, they would undoubtedly be able to achieve interstellar travel capabilities in a relatively short period of time, a situation which I know worries you. I know that you do not want a chaotic and fragmented humanity arriving at your doorsteps, but that can be changed. Humanity can achieve more than this. Yes, I hear you. I know that humans are not culturally, politically, or emotionally ready to interact with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They remain in need of development in those areas, but that development will be impossible if they remain under reptilian and Orion influence. They need freedom and gentle guidance from true friends who have no intention of enslaving them. As you know, the reptilians and the Orions want only to capture the resources of Earth, and humanity's genetic diversity is crucial in this regard. With a mixed gene pool from all over the galaxy due to Earth being both a place of refuge and a dumping ground for the unwanted creatives and more stifling civilizations, the gene pool of humanity is truly remarkable on any standards. The reptilians and the Orions want control over that gene pool. If it were not for the inhibiting presence of the forces loyal to the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the reptilians and the Orions would already be at war, fighting over control for that gene pool. They see humanity as no more than a pool of genetic slaves, as well as a resource of slaves for assorted other horrifying purposes, and you all know what they use humans for. I do not need to spell that out here. My time is limited here. I can keep my concentration focused on this location for only so long before the needs of my physical body drags my awareness back to Earth. So let me get to the point. Humanity requires your direct intervention to remove the reptilian and Orion forces from Earth. You know that humanity cannot do this by itself. You ask, why should I speak for all of humanity? Why should I assume to be their representative? I was not chosen or elected by anyone on Earth, but there are no elected or chosen representatives among humans who could claim this role. Human leadership on Earth has been totally compromised by the oppressive reptilian and Orion forces, sometimes unknowingly, but often with consent. None can act freely without mental manipulation, bribery, or external pressure. So I do claim the right to represent all of humanity, as is the right of all humans who can find the courage to discard the repressive control common to the Earth environment and reach out to you. I assume that right because I am here. No other reason is necessary. I have broken free from the mental manipulation of the reptilian and Orion forces. Both I and my team have come to you today as free humans. We are evidence, indeed proof, that humanity is worth saving. If even one human can break free from the totalitarian control of the oppressive forces, then it is evidence that all of humanity has that capability. We come here not to ask you to adopt us as your dependents. We come here to demand that we be allowed to become your equals. Humanity can become one of the greatest contributors to a positive future for the Galactic Federation of Worlds if it can be allowed to exist, free from the forces of enslavement. Judge humanity not by what it is now, judge it by what it can become under your tutelage, as friends, as equals. I ask you to remove the hidden oppressive forces that secretly tyrannize humanity and help Earth humans awaken to their true history and their confident destiny. Returning that history to them, that which has been so carefully erased from their collective memory, will free them, and it will allow you to see their true value as friends and allies. If you abandon humanity in this moment of greatest need and potential, then you will still have the same war-torn galaxy as you have now, and you will enable the most repressive forces in the galaxy to gain resources that they will ultimately use against you. I know it will not be easy for you to free humanity. The reptilians and the Orions will not leave Earth willingly, but if you assist humanity in its hour of need, you will one day, in the not-too-distant future, find that this same humanity will gladly fight alongside of you as you seek to liberate other worlds under the control of totalitarian forces. These humans will know full well what they are fighting for. Assist humanity now, and you create the potential for the rise of a species with a positive destiny, the likes of which this galaxy has never known.
Let's just go home now. You've said your piece. Let's just go.
Hi everyone, welcome to the December 2020 edition of Farsight's Human News, the remote viewing news forecast show that tells you what is going to happen, not what did happen. I'm Courtney Brown, Director of Farsight. We are starting something new here at Farsight, something that requires your help. It begins today, December 1st, 2020. It is the biggest thing we have ever done. But before I tell you about that, let me tell you about our next major mysteries project that will be coming out on December 15th. And ladies and gentlemen, this major mysteries project is titled The Reptilians, Here and Now. In our last project, The Annihilation of the Dinosaurs, we decided to give the reptilians the benefit of the doubt by showing how they were attacked when the dinosaurs were destroyed. It was planetary devastation on a nearly unimaginable scale. We don't know why they were attacked, and we don't know if the advanced reptilians that existed during the time of the dinosaurs are the same or similar to the ones that exist here on Earth today, hidden deep underground and in their spaceships. But on a genetic level, both groups are unambiguously reptilian, and one can only assume that if someone was so upset with them in the past that they wiped them out across the entire planet, there must have been some motivating factors. Now, we know a lot about the modern-day reptilians and how they affect humanity. This is one of the most important presentations that you will ever see. The fate of all humanity will largely depend on what happens to the modern-day reptilians and their allies. On the 15th of December, only on FarsightPrime.com, you need to see who the reptilians are and what they are doing here. The secrecy will end on the 15th. I also encourage everyone to watch my last Farsight intelligence briefing for November 2020, which was especially designed to help prepare for this. Because of its overall importance to all that we are about to do, we published that intelligence briefing both on YouTube and on FarsightPrime.com. I hope you are enjoying the pearls that we are publishing in our news and mysteries projects. The pearls are hints at what is coming up at Farsight. Short dramatizations that capture either something that actually happened in a project or a new thing that is happening in the pearl itself, such that the pearl is the actual event that relates to our projects. Each pearl is numbered so you can keep track of them. Also on FarsightPrime.com, we publish an updated single video containing all of the pearls in a row so you can refresh your memory and collect your thoughts. You see, the history of our planet, solar system, and galaxy is far more complicated than anyone on Earth ever dreamed of, and we are revealing that complex history one project at a time. The pearls are a way for you to participate in our discovery process, allowing you to incorporate hints of what is coming with the results of currently published projects. Now, let me move on to the major thing that we are doing here at Farsight starting today, December 1st, 2020. This is the big Farsight event that you have been waiting for. If you watch the November Farsight intelligence briefing, you will understand that there are 3 basic divisions among the extraterrestrials affecting Earth currently. This is a conclusion to be drawn from much of our published and not yet published projects. The 3 groups are the Reptilians, the Orions, and the Galactic Federation of Worlds. The Reptilians and the Orions are both competitors and allies, depending on their current needs at the moment, but right now they are allies with respect to Earth. They view Earth and humanity as a set of resources, and they want those resources. The only thing stopping them from taking what they want with brutal force is the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Now, we will explain everything in great detail as we move forward with our projects, so patience. We are doing this as fast as we can. But we can no longer wait to ask for help. You see, the Galactic Federation of Worlds is sufficiently powerful that they can push the reptilians and the Orions off this planet, but they cannot do it unless they are asked to do it by humanity. They have some fundamental belief in free will, and they will not help humanity if humanity cannot gather the strength to ask for it. If humanity wants to live as slaves, controlled by hidden authoritarian exploiters who keep humanity in a constant state of disruption, then that is humanity's choice. Also, pushing the reptilians and the Orions off this planet will not be easy. There is likely going to be a fight, one that you will witness right above your heads. But the Galactic Federation of Worlds is not going to fight for us if we don't do anything ourselves. As you will see in future projects, the Galactic Federation of Worlds tried to help humanity in the past, but humanity turned them down. Now, human leadership has been totally corrupted through means as varied as you can imagine. To begin to understand part of how this works, I suggest that you watch or re-watch our project, Human Leadership Has Been Compromised. Bluntly, it is not possible for human national leaders at the current time to ask for help from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. It is just not going to happen. But the Galactic Federation of Worlds does not need human national leadership to ask for help. Others can ask for it, and it does not have to be anyone in particular on this planet. Just a few thousand people can make a difference. It has taken this long for Farsight to gain a sufficient audience and to educate that audience through our projects over the years. But now that this is basically far enough along, we can ask you for help. We are now asking all of those in our audience who want to help our mission to directly ask the Galactic Federation of Worlds for assistance. Now, this is how we are going to organize this. First, you need to have a calm mind. The Galactic Federation of Worlds can tell in an instant if someone is in the wrong frequency for them to help. If you are panicky, or fearful, or angry, or drenched in the emotion of begging, they're simply going to ignore you. If you are deeply settled in your mind, they will listen. You have to vibe similarly with the Galactic Federation of Worlds for them to listen to you. Also, if you pray to them, they will run away from you like you have the plague. They don't want to have anything to do with anyone who wants to make a religion out of them. You have to treat yourselves as equals to them, total equals, not lesser in any respect. Yes, they have more advanced technology, but that doesn't matter. So, we have been asking our audience to learn how to meditate, and we have offered you lessons on how to do Farsight meditation. Those lessons can be found on our website and on farsightprime.com and on our YouTube channel. What we are asking you to do now is to do something extra once a day, and the evening may be convenient for many. After you meditate, we want you to reach out in your minds and say something to the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They will hear you. Basically, we want you to say this: human leadership has been compromised and does not represent either myself or humanity. We request intervention from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Listen, everyone. Human national leaders are very few in number, and the biggest ones total less than 20 people. And those leaders are incapable of doing anything in this current situation. They have been compromised in more ways than one. The Galactic Federation of Worlds is not expecting anything from that group. On the other hand, if a few thousand deeply settled people from Earth reach out and directly ask for assistance, they will listen. This is what we want you to do. After meditating, perhaps you might want to go to a window and look upwards, or perhaps you may want to simply reach out in your mind and talk with them. They are able to perceive your thoughts. And again, try to say something like, human leadership has been compromised and does not represent either myself or humanity. We request intervention from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And again, please remember that if you pray to them, they will ignore you, and in fact, they will run away from you. If you beg them, they will ignore you. If you have an unsettled mind, they will ignore you. You have to be calm. Have your wits about you and ask them for help as an equal. As an equal. Don't make a religion out of this or you're going to screw everything up. They want to hear you as an equal. So be an equal. But there is more. Today, at the end of this video that you are watching right now, we are going to directly ask the Galactic Federation of Worlds for assistance in a most unusual manner. Now, this will sound very strange, but hear me out. Remember, you don't have to be a national leader to reach out to the Galactic Federation of Worlds. What matters is that you are able to reach them, and that you desire to reach them. Well, since they have advanced spaceships, they certainly have the ability to watch videos on YouTube and FarsightPrime.com. So, we at Farsight are making our own presentation to the Galactic Federation of Worlds on video, a video that all of you can see, and we are releasing it on FarsightPrime.com and on YouTube at the end of this video that you are now watching, and also as a separate video on YouTube. Now, there is nothing special about me or Farsight. Anyone can make such a video appealing to the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and that is what we want to happen. If it is a sincere effort to make contact, it will be heard. Also, everyone else on social media can watch it and participate. No secrets. Special effects are okay too. The more creative, the better. Consider this a challenge for you to make the best presentation to the Galactic Federation of Worlds that you can. Make it a real appeal to the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They will watch it. You often see YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and other social media videos with individuals and groups doing challenges happening all the time, frequently involving music and dances. Well, consider this similar, but even more cool and of greater significance. You yourself can make a video where you and your friends ask the Galactic Federation of Worlds to intervene on this planet. You can even make it a dance video if that is your style, or even something using cosplay costumes. Put it on your favorite social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. See if you can make the best appeal, and let the challenge go viral, and in so doing, really change this planet for the better. There is no reason saving humanity should not be fun to do. In fact, it will work best if you are having fun doing it. Be a real superhero. Speak to the Galactic Federation of Worlds. But remember, make it real. They are really listening. They want you to do it. Indeed, they are hoping you will do it. They can't fix things unless someone asks them to fix things. So you be the one who asks. Now, there are those who will say that this is ridiculous. Well, those same people will also tell you that extraterrestrials don't even exist, and they will try to ridicule you into submission, to put you back in your cage. They will even look at this video that was officially released by the U.S. Navy as authentic UFO footage and say that the footage was faked.
Dude, there's a fucking drone, bro. There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh. They're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Look at that thing, dude. Oh, got it! Woohoo!
Now remember that the U.S. Navy also told the New York Times that the U.S. government has a vehicle not of this earth and that there was going to be an announcement about it soon. Now this announcement idea was squashed by the Defense Department 2 weeks later, but that only gives you an idea of the battles that are raging behind the scenes. The censors and the slavers would love for everyone to dismiss all evidence to the contrary and laugh at the idea that the extraterrestrials are real. That is what they want you to do. So, don't do what they want you to do. Slaves follow what others want them to do. Do what you know in your heart is right. Friends, humanity is in a state that many would consider slavery, but most people are not even aware of it. The best slaves are the ones that think that they are free. Think of the Matrix movies, or even of how a horse or a cow can be kept and used by humans without understanding the concept of slavery. Well, things may get very much worse if humanity does not rise up and do something about it, so do not expect anything useful to come out of the national leaders. The national leaders will continue to promote the secrecy agenda, and they will lead you down a road that is not nice. Not nice. If someone is to act, it must be you. Finally, Princess Jeaneé and Trudy Benjamin are both separately teaching Farsight's version of remote viewing. If you are interested in personalized individual and group classes, you can contact them at princessviews@gmail.com and info@trudybenjamin.com. So here is a summary of the major stuff happening on farsightprime.com, our streaming service. On farsightprime.com, you get all of our major releases, past, present, and future, plus we have the extraterrestrial news show, Farsight's ET News, that is published at the end of the first week of each month, a week after this show that you're watching now. You also get the Farsight Intelligence Briefing hosted by myself. Now, this intelligence briefing is live streamed, and you can join and ask questions live. Now, on the 15th of each month, we publish our next major mysteries project. And in December 2020, it is The Reptilians, Here and Now. Additionally, on farsightprime.com, we have our monthly economic forecasts covering topics such as the SP 500, oil prices, the real estate market, and so on. These monthly economic forecasts give us a window into the larger picture of the developing human drama. So they are relevant to everyone, not just investors. And again, how do you hear about these things so that you can participate and get the latest when they happen? Well, we use our email, list, and YouTube to make our major event announcements. So there are two things that you need to do. First, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to click on the notifications bell that appears after you subscribe. That is the only way YouTube will notify you of the new events. Just subscribing doesn't do anything. The notifications bell is the important part. But that only notifies you of things that we release on YouTube. To be notified about the things that we release on farsightprime.com also, which you can watch using our Apple and Android apps or on the web, you need to subscribe to our free email newsletter, found on our website at farsight.org. Those are the only two ways you can hear about the live streams and all of our new events. Be sure to do them both. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Farsight, and subscribe to our free email newsletter on our website. The links are in the description area below this video. Our final announcement is that we will soon release a new 5-year cryptocurrency forecast in our SECO series in just a few days, SECO 6. And we are expecting to release another major new 5-year forecast on a cryptocurrency, SECO 7, in late December 2020. The SECO identities are priced separately and released on our website, farsight.org, so keep on the lookout for it if you are interested in cryptocurrencies. Now, let's review how we did with our last month's human news forecast, and then we will move on to this month's forecast for December 2020. For November, the reports by our remote viewers were quite diverse, each covering different events. This normally means that the month would not have a central theme to its news events. For example, November was not a month with lots of urban riots or protests, so this was generally accurate for November. The big news was the American presidential election, but the election news focused on the counting of ballots and charges of voter fraud. Such news, while important, does not involve physical events such as a widely covered rocket or missile launch, widespread civil unrest, a major public gathering, or major war. So, characterization of the news involving physical events for November would be correct. With respect to our actual reports, Kahmia Dunson reported on a major disruption in an urban area with buildings being destroyed, and there also is a non-surface structure that is involved plus an explosion. This report seems to find its greatest correlation with the sudden, unexpected, and very significant military activity in Ethiopia, where Ethiopian troops are fighting a rebellion in Tigray, which is an area inside of Ethiopia. Now, Trudy Benjamin and Melena both reported incidents in an urban area that had significant parallels with the post-election activities in the United States. However, since passions in the United States are still so high regarding how to interpret those activities, I will allow each person in our audience to make their own interpretation of those results. Now, Aziz reported on uniformed subjects moving through an urban area near water in pursuit of a subject and then killing this subject with notably violent energetics. Well, this exact thing happened in Vienna in early November. A 20-year-old male shot and killed 4 people and wounded more than 20 others. Authorities in Austria labeled the male as an Islamic terrorist. The event took place near a synagogue located close to the Danube Canal, and the police eventually shot the gunman dead. In Europe, this was a very big story. Remember that our research indicates unambiguously that we live in a universe with multiple timelines. That is a real fact, not fantasy or science fiction. The science of how that can be is largely fleshed out, even if the majority of mainstream physicists have not yet wrapped their heads around it. So, in a situation of multiple timelines, there is no single future that we can identify and describe, since there are an infinite number of past and future timelines. But there are averages, so to speak, across a distribution of timelines, and our viewers have been highly accurate in forecasting the general nature of the news events for each month, even if there have been differences in some of the details. So keep watching each month and see if you can resist the realization that remote viewing is real and truly need to know. And with respect to all of our work here at Farsight, it is what you need to know. Now, let's move on to this month's human news forecast for December 2020. Remember, we could always be wrong, and all remote viewing must be seen as an experiment, not a certainty. But look at the data for yourself. Make your own decisions, and then let's watch the month of December roll out to see what actually happens. We have 6 remote viewers who participated in this month's project. Trudy Benjamin, Aziz Brown, PrinCess Jeaneé, Arkie, Melena Hall, and Kahmia Dunson. These reports are amazing to watch. It is best if you just watch them yourself without me trying to explain them in advance. So let's begin. However, I will return after all of the reports are presented to help you pull everything together.
Here in this environment, I'm sensing cold temperatures and a land-water interface. Something similar to ice or snow. I'm noticing mountainous-like areas, very tall, steep peaks, high mountains, very cold temperatures, seeing lots of snow. I'm also noticing structures on a base surface. The environment is natural and man-made. Man-made environment is near either a land-water interface or there's just a lot of snow in this cold temperatured environment. I'm sensing lots of movement downward, fast movement downward from these mountain-like areas. There are subjects on the inside of these structures on the base surface. I'm sensing lots of subjects. This is a location that has like a city nearby mountains. Something about these mountains has a lot of downward movement. I'm kind of sensing like something rolling down these mountains or coming down the mountains very fast, like snow. Either snow or rocks, but it's moving downward towards this city or this subject-like area. Like there's an area where subjects are, and the snow or the rocks on these mountains are flowing downward towards this city. I'm hearing like voices from the subjects that are nearby on the base surface. Something harsh, natural environment, rocks, man-made structures on the base surface, fast movement downward. I'm sensing something changes here, like there's a new look or like the environment just becomes different after the target event. Something here is really cold and wet, It's either the land-water interface that might be nearby or it's just snow. I'm noticing large structures nearby these mountain-like areas on the other side as well. It kind of sounds like a rumbling, like, I don't know what it's called. Kind of the visuals I get, it kind of reminds me of like an avalanche or an earthquake, but with snow tumbling downward really fast, mixed with rocks, like snow and rocks, or just really big chunks of snow that's just either melting or just falling. There's irregular topography on one location and then flat land on the other location, but they both have the same similar temperature. I'm noticing cloud dynamics coming from the fast movement downward. The subject's talking is like it's like there's lots of negativity towards the activity that's going on in the environment. I'm sensing the environment changes somehow. Like there's a tumbling and then there's a rumbling sound and then something in the environment completely doesn't look the same anymore. The lights I see are a dim colored light, sensing lots of white and gray colors. Lots of this is all activity coming from mountains towards a city or an area nearby mountains. I don't sense the activity is actually normal. Something about the activity is not normal. It's like unusual and it changes the way the environment looks afterwards. And it's like really messy and there's lots of big structures on the ground. I'm sensing tumbling sounds because of rocks. I'm noticing the temperature is temperature's like very, very, very cold. But something about the mountains aren't the same anymore. Probing the subjects on the base surface of this environment, I'm noticing a crowd or focused gathering of subjects together in one location or area, similar to like a city. This location is filled with a lot of activity, and it just reminds me of like a storm because of a lot of snow, like a blizzard, or something that just has to deal with a lot of snow moving downward towards subjects. I keep sensing like a crowd of subjects just watching something happen, and then the activity happens so fast. There's like loud rumbling sounds and tumbling sounds, and then the subjects are just like either trying to get away from it or they're just watching it happen. I'm not sensing the subjects knew that this would happen in this environment. I just sense that there's just a surprise because of the activity that's happening in the location. The subjects here, I'm kind of worried about. I'm kind of worried about the activity because I'm sensing subjects are feeling like they're helpless or worried or really confused. I'm not sensing the environment is supposed to be normally like this. Like, I'm not sensing the environment's supposed to be filled with this much snow. Like, it's not normal for this environment to have such cold temperatures. But the activity is fast. I continue to hear subjects going, but now what do we do? Now what do we do? But now what do we do? And I'm not really sensing that the activity or movement stops. It's like the movement is happening very fast into the location the subjects are like having their focus gathering, and it just continues. Like the movement of the snow or the movement of the rocks and the snow together, or the cold rocks tumbling, barreling towards the subjects is new. It's like the environment changed so that something could be destroyed. And I'm not sensing that the movement has ever happened before. I'm not sensing this is something normal. Cold rocks. It kind of reminds me of big chunks of ice tumbling downward, like a storm, and the subjects are just like sporadic. Deep mind probing a primary subject in this target. Seeing a male subject with black hair. The subject is like shocked. I'm sensing lots of shock and the emotion of worry and confusion. I'm noticing he's like wearing winter clothes, really puffy winter clothes. And he's paying attention or watching the target event happen. Something about the subject is like, he's very, very confused, but also frantically moving at the same time. I'm sensing his movements in the location he's at is all over the place and not really like planned movements, just sporadic movement. I'm sensing sporadic multi-directional movement from this subject. He has pale skin and black hair. It's a male subject that's older than me. I'm noticing that he's alone, but he's still moving around other subjects. Like he's not focused on anybody else but himself in this environment. It's like his activity and movement is to get away from the event that's happening. The location that they're in is so cold. I'm noticing the temperature changing, like the temperature drops significantly, really fast, which is why the target event is happening so quickly. kind of reminds me of a person that's like, hey, look, it's snowing. But then they're like, wait, what? What's going on? Why is there so much of it? Why is it happening this quickly? I'm noticing the subject is surrounded by subjects that look like him, and the subjects that have pale skin tone, but really dark black straight hair, bulky clothing. Kind of reminds me of like hiking gear and winter clothes mixed together. There's a lot of movement around this subject by other subjects. It's like they're all sporadically not knowing where to go, and there's something that's happening nearby that's causing them to all be very confused together, but no one's really talking about each other. They're all focused on themselves, like focused on moving away individually from the event. This event reminds me of like a complete storm, a random one, an unusual one. I kind of feel bad for this event. Like, I'm sensing a lot of struggling and concern, but this is all I have for this target.
All right, Aziz, look, I'm grateful that we're able to set this up. For the audience, let me tell you that Aziz is in quarantine in Korea after traveling across the entire planet and going to Korea. He's going to be doing some special language studies over there. And he's, after you travel to a country, a lot of countries like Korea, they require you to be in quarantine for a couple of weeks before you're allowed out. And he's doing his session that way. So we're connecting up, and this is very similar to how we do sessions with Rock Arkie in the interview format rather than the presentation in front of a Lightboard. But it's also really good because this is a very engaging style of going through a session as well. So this is news 1 that Aziz is doing, and that is human news. And human news is what he's sort of perceiving as a major event for next month, which will be in December, which when you're watching this is this month, okay, but we're recording this in November. All right, so Aziz, why don't you just go through the first visual that you have, and this is on page 4 of your session. Again, Aziz is using advanced SRV, and that uses the template. So I've got the paper session up in front of me, and he has similarly the paper session up in front of him, and actually it's off to the side of him. So we'll be going through it and trying to figure out what this event is that's supposed to happen in December. So why don't you describe a little bit about what's on page 4?
All right, well, it seems like I'm in an urban area, and it seems like there is a single subject that is elevated above the rest, sort of in a structure or maybe peering outside of the structure. And at the base surface, there seems to be a crowd of subjects as well, and also a non-surface structure that exists just a little bit outside that general area.
Now, you write here that you have multiple subjects, and just looking at the picture, it looks like the single subject is addressing that. However, you write down that that doesn't seem to be happening. It seems like there's a crowd, and you write that the crowd does not seem too focused. So you said it feels like the heads are facing in opposite directions. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, well, it sort of gives the impression that it's, I would say, generally a focused type of environment, but in the sense just that their physical location is quite concentrated. But in terms of their actual actions and where their attention is, that's rather chaotic in that sort of sphere.
Well, maybe we can interpret that to mean that either the guy that's sort of elevated is not the focus of their attention. He could just be an observer, or he's not holding their attention.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
he's
he
trying,
definitely is not.
maybe he's trying to hold their attention, but not. Okay, well, let's go on to the next visual, which is your major flash sketch for that. And that's sort of a close-up of this. By the way, they're all going to see your sketches
Oh, great.
while you're
That's
talking.
good.
So when you're describing them, they're going to be looking at the sessions pages
Fantastic.
as well. So what's this?
Yeah, well, see, here we have another angle where you can see multiple subjects. They are definitely in a concentrated crowd, and we have that single subject that is on an elevated platform. He's looking down, and as we said before, just the crowd of subjects seems involved in their own something, but it's not focused on the actual subject that's elevated above them.
Okay. Well, let's move on to your next. So with Advanced SRV, we have sections where we have what we call the A through D, where we go from an ideogram through a lot of description and then a sketch, and then a flash sketch that follows after that. And so we're going to the next A through D now. So we go through that process 3 times, where there's a ideogram, description, and then a sketch, and then a big flash sketch. We go through that process 3 times. So we're now, Aziz, in your second pass through that. What are you getting here? This is on page 6 of your session.
It seems like this is more of a description of the general environment that's going around where this activity that we were seeing earlier is happening. Just a little bit of foliage, more of this urban area sort of general theme, but also there is some extensive water that is not too far off with a land-water interface as well.
Okay, so we have an urban area near water. All right, so that gives us a little bit more of a idea. You also have your cold temperatures, so it looks like it might be in the northern hemisphere because we're in the middle of winter, or
That's
actually
true.
we're approaching winter.
Yeah.
And if you go to your next flash sketch, the page 7, what do you get there?
Well, it shows that extensive water area, but in this sense, there is a foliage area on the opposite bank. So it's sort of makes it seem more like this area, at least in particular, has more of maybe a river type of vibe. Just that there seems to be land-water interface on opposite sides of a body of water. So
Okay,
yeah.
with foliage on the other side, so it does look more
Yeah.
like a river type of thing next to a city next to a river.
Yeah, yeah.
Or some type of body of water with foliage on the other side. Could be a bay also, but the idea is it's a
Of course.
water in the middle, foliage on the other side, buildings on one side.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is now go through your last A through D, starting with page 8. What do you have there?
So here we have an indoor environment, which is different from the previous areas that we were looking at, and it seems like
okay.
we have multiple subjects inside of that indoor environment. Once again, I am picking up the far-off water as we go through the descriptors in the vocabulary sheet. When I do probe for water, I do get the sense that there is water, but it's not in this immediate environment. It is far away. And yeah, just more of this sense of this urban environment. And I did write down distant murmuring subject sounds. So kind of like maybe that crowd is within earshot, but it's not in this environment
I
right
see.
here.
So that's what you mean when you write here, the crowd of subjects are outside the structure.
Yeah.
So it's audible. They're making noise outside.
They're making noise.
And it's audible.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there are
All right,
also
good.
formal
All right.
subjects that are inside as well, so it doesn't seem like this is a shoddy environment.
Ah, I see. All right. So it's It's not like a developing country type thing. It's a modern city type thing.
Well, at least where these guys are, inside.
Yeah, okay. Oh, inside inside the structure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you have here on your page 9? Looks like you're inside that room.
Yeah, it's just another angle of what we were just talking about. It seems like we have a main subject over there and just an object in the middle of the room, and these two other subjects that are sort of standing just boxy sort of like, but towards the end of the room. So, I mean, they're on opposite ends of the room. So, yeah.
Okay, and then on your next page, page 10, looks like that you moved your perception out of the structure to look at the crowd and so on.
Yeah, I wanted to give sort of an X-ray effect to sort of show that, okay, so these are the subjects. They're inside this level, inside this room, inside the structure, and right outside the structure, it seems like that's where the crowd is. At this point, I'm really putting the crowd to be right outside this particular structure where we have these indoor subjects just sort of there.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. So let's see what we have here for environment. You basically have basically what you said before. It's there's some humidity, not much. It's some humidity, not too dry, and it's cold. And there's a non-surface structure.
Yeah.
Human noise, and the subjects are fully dressed, so looks like it is a winter type of setting.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so why don't we go to your to the wide-angle lens picture, which is on page 13.
Yeah, so
this gives
here... sorry, what were you saying?
No, this gives us a better idea of the kind of location this is.
Yeah, it's here we have the water that we had originally in that river sort of environment. Follow that water in a different direction, it expands outwards, so we have also the extensive water perceptions that we also perceived earlier. And we have an urban area that sort of dominates the attention, but there is also significant foliage in these sort of outer areas, as well as on the bank where we did have the foliage. There seems to be a diminished but present sense of modern man-made architecture type of stuff, or just structures.
Okay, so what we have here, it looks like the river is emptying out into a bay or something, a wider body of water at least.
Yeah.
Okay, so city sort of near, it might even be near a coast, because that may be...
Could be.
River going out of some type. Okay, now we have another sketch. We have a few sketches after that. Here you move to the center of the target. So what do you have here?
So I did a collective deep mind probe, and the emotions that I was getting were very fiery, excited, yelling, jumping, a lot of arm movement, like arms moving like fists and hands and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not really very recognizable, just like active movement of the limbs. And excited, hopped up energy, seems unclear if it's really positive or negative, because it felt very raw. I mean, as you can see, I have written down here, they're sort of basking in their collective fury. It doesn't feel like this is a positive thing, like, if everyone's just joyously jumping and happy and stuff like that. But it also feels like, even if you're expressing something that is generally negative, you can enjoy the aspect of your own expression. And that is something I wrote down over here.
Okay. Yeah, so this looks protesty, like protests of some type, in terms of moving arms and being quite energetic. It doesn't say that it is protesty. It just means it gives me that sense that it might be. It's a lot of crowd. They don't seem to be social distancing. What do you think?
Yeah, no, they're not. It's a good guess, though, that it's protesty. I mean, within the thought section, more logical-oriented part of the Deep Mind Probe, you get the feeling that they're showing their feelings. That seems to be like the energy that I was picking up. The purpose is to show feelings and direct that towards a specific person or structures or at this sort of higher elevation. And that could be a metaphorical sense or just absolutely physical. So,
Well, you know, in the old days before the pandemic, this could have been a rock concert, and they could have had, you know, some pop star doing a concert on the roof of a building.
it could have been.
But that
yeah.
wouldn't that wouldn't happen today. Remember the Beatles did that once. They had a concert on the top of a building, and it's happened a few times. Concerts. So, in a non-pandemic way, that could happen. But in the pandemic situation that we have now, it seems to me that the only way we'd have a crowd like that is not for entertainment purposes, but rather protest.
Yeah, these are logical
that's
assumptions. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a logical assumption, but it's a guess. And
Yeah.
and that, again, you didn't write that down on your session, so I'm reading into this. Okay, what about your next one? Now here you move to the target activity, and that's interesting. You got a little bit more about. This does
Yeah.
seem to be an energetic crowd.
Yeah, so it's I get the sense that the main activity, which might not seem like much of activity, but the main activity that's different from previous times was the attention that I labeled it S1, the subject that we have in this higher elevated structure looking down at the sea of subjects that were down there and having all that chaotic emotional expression. So we see him having a higher point of view, looking down briefly at the big crowd of subjects, and then I did a deep mind probe of what we're going to call S1, which is the guy in the higher elevation structure. Emotionally,
the guy up top.
Emotionally, blocking this all off. Very much just like, this is a lot of excitement, I'm going to block it off. That's the active emotional thing that this subject is doing. Nullifying what he's seeing with the subjects below, intentionally is not letting it really affect his state of mind. It seems like that's sort of a purpose that is overlaid in the mind. Like, this is a conscious thing I must do, which is not let this affect me.
Wow, that's interesting.
So from the logical side, though, the thoughts, we have waiting for the sort of commotion to blow over and thinking of other stuff as seeing this as a temporary issue. And I think it might be helpful to explain that whenever I do a deep mind probe, I always write down the word emotions and thoughts, and that basically is sort of what is the more emotional side of the subject's mental activity, and the thoughts really just symbolizes the logical oriented side of just whatever is going on in their mind. So
Yeah, the intellectual thoughts.
yeah, the intellectual side.
act. So it doesn't seem like he's rallying the people as much as it's waiting for it to blow over.
Yeah, it seems like this is a unpleasant experience, and just putting it out of his mind and just being like, it'll go away. I just gotta wait it out.
Interesting. Yeah, I at first thought he was trying to stoke up everything, but now it doesn't look like he's trying to do that.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
let's go over to the next page, and
Yeah, so
that will be page 16.
Yeah, so this is the target event. Again, a very minor addition to what we've already been seeing. Really just a crashing and breaking sound and the sense of small object. Sort of a small-ish object just breaking and striking the structure. And I also hear like whirring sounds, and I deducted that it was a car, possibly a car hitting the structure, but that was a deduction. That was that's not a direct perception. I just got that sense. And so the whirring sound, it might not be a car. That might have just been machine-type sounds. A lot of machines make whirring sound, so like whir type of sounds. So, but I did get the sense of something striking the structure and drawing attention to it. Like that event of something striking the structure drew a lot of attention. But it doesn't seem...
You also deducted the word bottle, so it could be things that are being thrown at the structure by the subjects.
Yeah. So it's that was a big part of it as well. So it's doesn't seem like it does more than that though. So like regardless of whatever this is, small objects or a big one, It just doesn't seem like it really affects the structure as a whole. So it seems like it's just a minor strike. So, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't, nothing destroys the structure or damages the structure. It's just,
Yeah.
so actually if I were, okay, now I'm going to interpret, and so what my interpretation may be totally incorrect. But it seems like if I were to read this session and try to figure out what kind of event is happening, I guess I'd sort of think that the protesters might be, since you're focusing on the guy that's elevated and the protesters down below, the protesters might be protesting the guy. So the guy may be sort of a focus of attention. He's sort of waiting for them to go away. And then the bottle or whatever it is that strikes the building could be some anger, some things that are being thrown at the building in protest. And maybe the guy is sort of basically waiting for it to pass away. So anyway, that could be different, but the basic elements that I'm seeing here is a crowd below in an urban area, a big building with a guy that's elevated inside the building, maybe on a balcony or in a window behind, safe inside. And it looked like it was sort of well-to-do or very modern, comfortable inside the building, you said, right?
Yeah, and just to elaborate on what you just said, it could be something where they're protesting the guy, could be something that they're protesting something that the guy represents, or something that the structure represents of which the guy is a part of or present in. So there could be a lot of archetypes there.
Yeah, so we don't know why the guy is in the session.
Yeah.
Now, do understand, everybody, audience, that when we do these as mystery projects, this is one solo session. So when we do these as mystery projects, the viewer has to go back and back and back till we figure out all the different parts. So if this is being done as a mystery session, Aziz would have to go back and to figure out who that guy is, what he's doing, his relationship to the crowd. He'd have to go back in and find out where the crowd came from. Did they just assemble? Where they go afterwards? He'd have to go directly to the street when whatever is being thrown against a building is being thrown to find out what it is. So it's a lot of work in a mystery session, but the news sessions give us the essence of what is going to be happening in the news report. And what we get from here is a lot of information, and that's very interesting. So it looks like there's some protests going to be happening in December.
Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. If you project this, now I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm just saying if you project this to the current political climate here in the United States as an example that I'm sort of drawing, I could see this as being, Donald Trump is in the White House now, but if he was in Trump Tower, I could see this as being a protest inside Trump Tower and him inside Trump Tower looking out. That's unlikely to happen because he's in the White House right now. So that's not, I'm not saying that's going to happen. On the other hand, Joe Biden is not in the White House yet, and so he could be. And so these protesters could be people, say like Trump supporters that are protesting Biden. And so they could be protesting down below. So it could have gone in either way. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this is. It may not even be the United States. I'm just saying that it's that type of vibe that I'm getting that is sort of a possibility. Usually these interpretations are wrong, but they help to sort of give sort of an example of how a situation like this might develop. It could be in another country. It could be in France or Canada or Germany or something like that, but it gives me that sort of a vibe when looking at it.
Yeah.
Hey, Aziz, this is great. So this is a great session. Thank you very much. And we'll wait and see what happens in December.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. It's a fun time.
Okay.
All right.
I have base surfaces with peaks, foliage, both level and irregular topography is what it's looking like here. Structures nearby a city. I'm seeing a non-surface structure overhead that looks like a jet. rectangular shapes around urban buildings. In the back, I'm having peaked land, possibly mountains, and just structures all around city near mountains. The non-surface structure that I'm seeing, it looks very offensive energetically. It has this like it's coming there for a purpose feeling. I have lots of subjects. They're running around all over the place, fast-paced movement. It's just very, very fast here, just subjects scattered about. Very large, tall structure. It looks like an explosion, like a mushroom cloud with spikes, shaped like leaves on a plant, like a very distinctive leaf. Loud. It's very, very, very loud here. Urban environment. Just explosive energy, explosives, energetics. Oh man, please don't tell me that someone's blowing up a city. This hasn't happened yet. It's definitely an explosion. It's cloud dynamics everywhere above the city, and it's almost very central. Like it's definitely energetics. It's definitely a form of an explosion. It feels. There's a lot going on here. With again this non-surface structure overhead and just chaos. I'm gonna go a few hours or maybe 24 hours back, just to see kind of what's happening here, because this is a lot. It's a lot. I feel like I'm almost like I can't see everything because it's so much. 24 hours into the past or yesterday, in a sense of the yesterday before now at this target time. It looks very different, very calm, quieter. It's bright, it's warm. I can see colors of blue and gray, just very natural, everyday scenery here, and then it goes into the day and it's multi-directional energy, energetics, fireworks. I'm gonna deduct that. Explosive. Very darkness, gloomy, loud, shaky, cloudy, chaotic energy. Just the opposite of what was the day prior. And then going 24 hours after that, it's very solemn. It's very much like just dark, gloomy. There's this haze, dark, this gloomy haze around here, just not bright, not sunny, not happy. It's just blah. It seems to have this target just altogether seems to have an urban environment with subjects, structures, mountains, a non-surface structure. I can see, again, just cloud dynamics everywhere, a fog or a mist. It's very loud. It's so loud here. The ground appears to be broken where I am. The activity here just, it sounds like a war. It can't be a war. Is it a... This is... I hear shooting, booming, roaring, helicopter sounds or wind sounds, vehicles moving, like the sound of large trucks or cars, or people or subjects just shouting, madness, smoke, fog, or like a riot. Please don't be a riot, a war, or a riot. It's chaotic. It's a lot going on here. I wish we could stop these things. Like what's happening? What's about to happen? What is happening here or hasn't happened yet? It's the event. Flashing lights, hustle, bustle, chaotic movement, confusion. Seems to be again centered in one spot, in one central location. Like some shit's really going on here. Can I say that? Like it's bomb, fire. Oh wow, I saw this in a dream the other day. Fire and a bombing in a large city. It heavily affects this place. It heavily affects the structures around, or located, centered in this place. It's so... it's so much. I almost can't see it. It's almost blank. It's almost black. It's dark. What's happening here? And why? The energy here is just, it's not good. And where is it?
So, Rock, thank you so much for joining me here. And this is a really interesting remote viewing session that you did, predicting some type of event or set of events in December. I've seen the paper session, and you're going to walk us through it. It's a really interesting session, to say the least. So why don't we just start? We can skip the introductory pages unless you want to go back to them later. Why don't we just start with the first major...
No, we just go to S4 page 2.
Yeah, S4 page 2. That would be the first major sketch. The audience should know that when Rock does these sessions, or when any of us do our sessions, we go through some introductory type of stuff to sort of get a feel of the target, and then the big stuff happens. So S4, page 2. Rock, why don't you, the audience will, of course, see these sketches as you're talking, so why don't you just take it away?
Yeah, thank you very much. This was an urban scene. It seemed to be a violent scene that had to do with individuals that were interacting with a vehicle, some type of cataclysm. I think the vehicle strikes some individuals. They're injured in the road. There's a lot of basic mayhem. That's all I got. It was a flash and a visualization of that type of scene with. I guess the most significant input was the emotes coming from that scene. It was very agitated, very violent.
Well, the three things that I get from this is you're dealing with an urban area, you're dealing with a motor vehicle, and you're dealing with people on the street around that motor vehicle. Yeah, plus some agitation. Well, let's see if we can find out what that agitation is all about. How about we go to the next page?
So this one was interesting for me, and I went over it and over it, just trying to understand it. And what I have, it could be more metaphoric. I've got this tremendous pent-up release of energy, like a dam bursting. And then this cascade, like water, that was contained, flowing out into a large area. Just a tremendous amount of release of energy. And that was the best way I could depict it. And like I said, I don't know if a dam's going to burst. I didn't really get that topological sense. I got more of a metaphorical sense, but I can't determine that.
Yeah, well, since you're sensing it as a metaphorical sense, it sounds like something energetic is happening.
Correct.
And if I was in the middle of a cascade of water coming down, it would be a feeling of being overwhelmed in some way.
Absolutely. Overwhelming energy.
Maybe that's what we get from it. Sometimes remote viewing comes like that, sort of metaphorical.
Right.
All right, so why don't we go to the next page and see what, you're being very...
Well, that one puts a smile. Yeah,
you're being very patriotic at this point.
Put a smile on my face. I saw a bunch of American flags, and it was just, the flags were everywhere. And it's not, was it an AOL? Because we've seen a lot of flags as of late. But this just was the picture in my mind. So
and
I'll
the
leave it at
audience,
that.
the audience should understand that the word AOL is used in some forms of remote viewing, stands for analytic overlay. And at Farsight, we call such things deductions, which are conclusions of the conscious mind, but they may not be correct, but it's just the conscious mind is making sort of a conclusion. We sort of put it off to the side. But yeah, but that's interesting.
I said everywhere. That was the key.
Flags everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Okay, well, that's not an analytic overlay. That's an observation. Flags everywhere. Okay, so what do we have? This looks...
This was an action scene, and it was like I saw several distinct figures rushing to someone's either aid or to protect them or possibly apprehend them. But it was a rush of several men covering or convening on some target, another individual. And it was happening very fast. I said men rushing to another as if covering, protecting. Could be a dignitary, president, rapid action. There was commotion in this scene.
Yeah, it's clear that you're not seeing anything aggressive like to hurt somebody. You're seeing the opposite.
Nope. Correct.
All right. Well, that's
and I just tried to render what I saw. It was an interesting shot. So
that's an interesting shot, is right.
Now,
okay. Now, this is good. This reminds me of what I was doing when I was just transferring video from one place to another. Go ahead. What's the next one? This is page 6.
So, and I've got to highlight that this was my remote view. This is what I saw and what I sensed. Some type of electronic key, memory card of significant interest. Has something to do with access. And I said significant again and newsworthy. and we'll see. We'll see where that goes. But it's electronic, and it's important.
All right.
Very important.
Some type of memory card element or electronic key element in the session. Well, this looks capitalish. The next one, page 7.
Yeah, these are sort of repetitive. We've revisited this time and time again the past several months, but I saw an increased presence of vehicles, military vehicles. This time it wasn't Ospreys, it was helicopter traffic over the Capitol. I didn't sense any violence. I didn't sense anything but a lot of movement.
That's interesting. And we don't even know if this is the U.S. Capitol. It could be some other
No.
capital.
It could be another capital. It's just when the depiction of that building, it's a heavy structure, and we know from the past that these heavy structures with a dome are usually governmental or religious or but
they've got a
large
dome.
placements.
They've got a dome for the Capitol building in Atlanta.
Right.
But it's some Capitol building with dome type of Capitol building or Capitol-like building with helicopters and vehicular traffic down below.
We'll
All
see.
right, now I'm looking at the next page, page 8. I'm thinking now you've gone off the deep end and went to Vegas and started going gambling.
I did go off the deep end on this. I couldn't help but draw what was in my mind as I was struggling to figure it out, if you will, just relaxing into it, and the only visualization that I had was this thing, which is a spade, and that translated to an ace of spades, and
what in the world could that be?
it's a metaphoric evening, isn't it? Maybe.
Yeah, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah, so we'll let people discuss that, see where that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. There's something. Actually, if I was to sort of hazard a guess with regard to what a metaphor like that could mean, it would mean sort of the element of chance and also the idea of pulling out an ace of spades, meaning you're pulling out something that's valuable at the very end that other people may not expect. So it's like pulling out something to sort of win the day at the end.
Yep.
Interesting. All right, now you actually are getting a few of these. The next page, page 9, you are getting a few of these images, and over time. And I'm sort of wondering if that means that there's some major event or set of events that it goes beyond the 1 month boundary that we have for this news project, and in fact you're sort of picking it up because of the significance of the event.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a recurring dream. If you have it enough times, you sort of know something big is coming. Anyway, go ahead.
No, the past few months for me, with the remote views that we've done, I've had several overlays, like from month to month to month, and I just imagine if you put the whole picture together over a period of 6 months, it might be very interesting to look at those elements, because I believe sincerely we have some crossover. Maybe not quite 30 days, could be 45, could be within the previous time frame. It just seems to work out that way. It's certainly a challenge for viewers to get right in that time slot. We're pretty good at it, but sometimes there's some elasticity that I've noticed.
Yeah, we try to remember, the audience should remember that our past research has indicated that the target is created mentally, not by writing something down on a piece of paper, by people who analyze the session and connect it with the data. And so the idea for this human news show is that if mentally we have the target set with boundaries of a certain date, then that is what confines the target. But then again, there can be, viewers are different, and also Rock learned his methods from someone else, so he's using methods that he learned from Dick Allgaier, and I know Dick was like that sometimes. He saw things happening outside of strict boundaries sometimes, so that may be an element in your way of thinking.
Right.
Well, at any rate, we've got a clear picture. Are those people on the side, are they civilian or military or what?
You know, I picked up a distinct impression that they were military, but then I've got a female here that I didn't really tag if she was military or not. I say presidential-like, podium, could be the White House. I didn't really get a sense that it was the White House, so that's why I put a question mark there. But then I got a flash, emergency message alert. So, you know, are we talking about something out of, well, just about everything's abnormal right now, but something even more abnormal than we're seeing.
Something that says, something that's abnormal out of the abnormal, that's quite abnormal.
And I said, and the other thing that I picked up, focused and determined might. So there's some, the might has some aggression to it, I think.
Now, you had a sketch similar to this, I think a couple months ago, but the woman wasn't there.
Right, right.
That's interesting. Okay, let's go on to the next page, page 10. And that's also sort of reminiscent of a similar type of sketch you had a couple months ago.
Yeah, life human, supine, I'm saying lifeless, injured or dead. And what I picked up was battered or beaten face. And this chap's like not doing so well. I picked up muscular, 30s, 40s, middle age, if you will, young to middle age, younger to middle age, but significant in that we picked it up in this session. So we can see how it plugs into the other data.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's sort of, it's begging a story. And it's always incorrect to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. If we had something causing a commotion, somebody had to cause the commotion. And if he's got a battered face and something like that, he might be the person who was causing it, who was stopped from causing it. And there he is lying on the ground. Maybe. I mean, we just don't know. But there's going to be, all we do know is somebody's lying on the ground. That's really all we know. We don't know who that is or where that came from or what he was doing. But it sort of begs for that type of interpretation.
Yeah, the orientation. I mean, you know, you draw what you see, you draw what you sense, and so I didn't question it.
And again, the audience should realize that when we do major projects like mysteries projects, the viewers go back and back and back until we figure out all these details. But with these human news, we have only one shot at it, so we get the impressions, but we don't connect all the dots the way we would in a sort of major mysteries project where we revisit the target over and over again. However, I have seen scenes like the next one on page 11 before. You're out in space again, Rock.
I'm out in space again and tracking some satellites. And what I picked up this time was curious to me because it seemed like a pattern of satellites that seemed to be together in some way, all shifting their orientation simultaneously. And that's what I picked up.
Interesting. Yeah, reminds me
I've got little arrows, like they're all making a shift at the same time. It's curious. So they're repositioning.
I wonder if the Starlink satellites can do that, or I guess defense satellites can do that.
I think they all can reposition to one.
Yeah, actually, they have to. They have to be able to do that to be able to keep functioning. Well, we have
the key takeaway here was a simultaneous repositioning of a number of birds. So
of satellites, yeah. Okay, well, let's go to page 12. We're still in the urban area.
Back to the urban area, we've got a lot of vehicles, a massive movement. And I didn't pick it up as military. This is more like civilian vehicles, congested. Maybe they're trying to get out or get in.
You know, that's a good point. But somehow this is related to the event, to get out or to get in. I mean, it's just not a rush hour type of thing.
It's not a rush hour. No, this is like that traffic would all be going the same way, I think.
Oh, you did get that sense of traffic sort of going in the same direction?
I sure did. Yeah.
Mass movement, one way or the other.
Mass movement, right, in urban area.
We're going to have to, that makes me really curious about December. I sort of, sometimes you want to take a video and sort of fast forward it to sort of see what happens later on. So this makes me
we'll see. We'll see. Like I said.
This makes me want to fast forward December. Okay, what do we have on page 13, which is your S4?
And it must be the same might be the same neighborhood, but now it's many people, and it seems to be a large gathering, peaceful movement in an urban area, a sea of people. It's very calm.
It's calm. That's interesting.
Calm.
That does look like it. It doesn't. It could be in a park, but that does look like it could be on a street. That's a lot of people.
A lot of people.
That's a lot of people. The pattern of the ground that they're on is two parallel lines, so it makes me think of a road or a highway, but it's clearly in an urban area. It could be a park type area. You don't have an indication of there whether it's all with foliage around it, but it does seem like a lot of people are in that.
That was the visual I got. A lot of people.
But they're calm.
Calm.
So this is not rioting and protesting. This is, folks, this is going to be an interesting event.
There's this big specter that we're supposed to unfold with all this, and I just didn't pick that up. I didn't pick up the heat of that, not in December, the heat of that activity, of that real negativity, and that we picked up earlier in the spring and throughout the summer. We definitely picked that up. A lot of us did. But
sometimes there can be just peaceful protests, or not even protests, just peaceful demonstrations in support of something.
That's right. Yep.
And if there was some event that affected a lot of people, there might be a mass outpouring of public participation, just people wanting to. Did you get a sense that did you get any sense of whether they were moving? Were they sort of all congregating, or were they like walking? Were they going in a direction?
Movement.
Slow?
They're not standing there it wasn't a rock concert or something.
Yeah.
I got, when I said many people, peaceful movement, urban area, sea of people. So there's a flow to that, with that movement and sea, there's a flow of people.
That's interesting, Rock. That is very interesting. Okay, that was the last page of the session.
Yeah,
well,
that's
you sure gave us enough details to
something
focus
to
in on this.
Something to chew on, and our viewers are incredible about getting triggered when they see something similar happen. They help us out.
Yo, you mean the viewers, the audience?
Correct.
Yeah, the audience is great. The audience is great. So everyone that's watching this on the internet, don't think for a second that when you give comments, nobody reads them. Your comments are greatly appreciated, and in fact, we all look at them. And
valued, right.
And when you say you think it's this or you're thinking that, a lot of times people put comments with links to news stories, and trust me, we click on those links and go seeing, and so we really appreciate the interactive nature of our audience. Any final words you want to say about this particular session, Rock? I think it was a really great session.
It's interesting. You might, I don't know if you want to or not, but you might, if you go to that S3 compilation where I have
let's go back to the S3 compilation. It goes that's the
S3 page
before.
1 where I have the consolidation page.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can get some, or I derive some clues from the placement of this consolidation page. I find it fascinating that sometimes the placement of the events has significance. You're drawn to putting them in sort of the right framing if you can break the code.
Yeah,
but,
if you can break the code.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, actually,
if
if you look at it, you have the people sort of protective surrounding of that one guy, and then right to the right of it, you have that life form on the ground, the supine form. And then right
Yeah.
above that, you have this spades artifact. So the guy was taking a chance.
Maybe.
Yeah, and
Yeah, I'm revisiting this now, and thank you for that, because I didn't correlate, and I know because we don't do that, but I'm fascinated by the way some of this stuff nets out.
yeah, I look at that S3 and sort of looking from top down, and I sort of see commotion, somebody being protected, a result, somebody's lying on the ground, and the ace of spades is right above that guy. He was taking a chance, and right there it's in the location of a capital area, capital city. To the left, down a little bit, you get the commotion, so something involving patriotism, and then some type of talk, some type of delivery of a talk, of a speech that involves some type of, it looks like national type of stuff. And finally, at the very bottom, you get this outpouring of public participation.
In one way or another.
In one way or another. So that sort of, that S3 sort of captures a storyboard idea right in one frame. Interesting. Well, we're going to wait and see, Rock. This is great.
We shall
Look,
see.
I want to thank you so much, and this is great. Now we will, as we always do, we wait and see.
All right. Thank you so much.
For my first visual, I see small structures. Most structures are damaged and old. Other structures just very small, like, and lots of subjects stay in this area. Getting male and female subjects, structures. A lot of subjects in this small area with a lot of structures here. Very poor environment. A lot of activity around this area. I'm getting a second visual. In my second visual, I'm seeing subjects in heavy clothing, look like military subjects around this moving structure, a lot of noises. I'm getting fire, a lot of energy and chaos in this area. Subjects in the area are in danger, feels like a war in this poor area, and it's like they're battling with each other because these all subjects here look alike. And again, I'm getting a crowd of subjects, female, male subjects, having a focus gathering, like a loud, emotional discussion of a lot of pain they're going through in this area. They really need help here. These subjects are really against each other, and subjects in uniform are not helping at all. It seems like they're just destroying the area and destroying subjects' field of killing here. For this visual, I see lots of structures here. Some are wide, some are like small structures next to each other. So many subjects in this area. All subjects most look alike. I'm also getting a non-surface structure moving above area. So much movement and activity in this area. A lot of subjects here, hearing loud noises, lots of screams, people are crying. This whole environment just needs help.
Starting off, I've got level topography here. Okay, I've got structures on here. These structures are very differently shaped structures. They look, they don't really look like Americanized, like super boxy shaped structures. They look like structures that kind of have like different layers to them. These structures also are made out of natural materials. They feel kind of like a concrete and like smooth and rough too, kind of like concrete. There are subjects on the base surface here, just scattered about everywhere. It feels like a slightly focused gathering, like they're all kind of here in this general area for a reason. But now it's kind of like I hear a lot of like popping, deep, like booming type sounds. Kind of sounds like low bass drums. But then it's like everything kind of goes quiet. I see like kind of these holes in the ground. They look like holes. And I see a lot of energetics start to form here. Kind of like big energetics. Okay, energetics here, energetics there, holes in the ground here, holes in the ground over there. Okay, the base surface is like this brown color. It feels like very brown tans, a soft texture, kind of like dirt or like sand or something. Okay, so like another visual that I'm having is, again, I see this base surface, level base surface here. And on this base surface, I see kind of like this thing that looks like it just looks like this weird shape. But probing it, it's definitely man-made. It's definitely a structure. This structure has subjects inside, but it feels kind of like it's sinking, like it's caving in. The structure feels like it's damaged or being damaged, broken down, something like that. I see these kind of like lines scattered on it as well, kind of like there's very light, like almost like scuff marks on the side of this, structure. Again, subjects inside, subjects on the base surface outside. and just energetics everywhere, energetics all in the air. So it's just like energy, 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 energetics, explosive energetics. There's like something in front of this as well, like a big, like pillars with like a, kind of like a fence. It looks like a fence, you know, the idea of one, but very much so like it looks like this. So I see something kind of like blocking off the structure, and then there's like subjects behind it, but there's energetics like all around it, and the structure is like broken and coming apart. It's got these like scuff burn mark looking things on the side. It smells like really thick air here, and I just have this overall feeling that like things are concaving in and sinking, and kind of like everything feels real heavy here. So yeah, again, this like all these energetics, right? Then I see this big, like huge, bright light. It looks like this like red, orange color. And that's like, once I see this big, bright light, it almost looks like everything is like covered in like these energetics and like this thick, smoky stuff in the sky. I hear a lot of like shouting. I hear voices, a lot of movement by these subjects. They are scattered about but centered, kind of like they're all like inside a certain area and then kind of running around or moving about this certain area. Okay, so another visual. I've got this level topography again. These weird, like, some of them look normal, like they're like boxy, but then a lot of them do have this kind of different shape to it. Let's just say that. They look very different from what I see on a regular basis. Scattered about structures everywhere. It feels like an urban environment, and I see energetics coming up from these structures. So from these structures, it's like energetics, right? Energetics. Like something's happening to these structures here. Lots of energetics here. And then again, I see like these holes in the ground, just like random holes, kind of scattered about. The subjects here feel like they are ceasing to exist. They feel like they're dead. They feel like they're dying. A lot of them do. A lot of these subjects here also feel very saddened and hurt and like distraught. So it's kind of like, you know, some subjects are definitely being injured. Some subjects are definitely witnessing it. And it's just a lot of vibes, energy, sadness here at this target. Right, okay, so also, you know, just all these energetics here coming up from these structures, filling the air. Like, there's just energetics everywhere. The air feels very thick. The air feels very, it's got this like strong heat smell to it as well. And overall, I've got this feeling like this feeling of a vendetta. Someone's got something against this, you know what I mean? Another visual that I have here is this visual of level topography. Level topography here. Okay, there's structures here. Again, these just like random, different shaped structures. But I see these one structures like really well. Like they kind of look like crosses in a sense. They kind of look like cross structures. You know what I mean? Or something that has like a cross on it. But just like these cross-like structures where I see a subject kind of standing near these cross structures, and then all around that subject, that is like this huge burst of energetics. Okay, this subject is like right in the middle of all of these energetics. So the subject is giving off a lot of energetics, or it's in the middle of a lot of energetics. And it feels like it starts here and then kind of like comes out. So when I'm focusing on the origin of this target event, I do feel like there is this sense of vendetta. There is something that someone has like built in anger, feels like resentment, feels like hatred, feels like something deep down inside this subject that causes them to feel so deeply, I guess. The subject feels like they're wearing normal clothes, but I feel like there's a lot of weight. There's a lot of weight on this subject's chest and its stomach area. So I feel like the subject has something like on their chest, on their stomach area, and feels kind of like hard. I grip it, you know, it feels just like this shape, kind of like almost like a round shape almost, but like, you know what I mean? It just feels like it has like this round shape to it, and it's like thick and heavy on their chest and on their stomach. And from there, it feels like, I feel this big like pop, this big booming, explosive type thing, and that's when like the subject ceases to exist, you know? So the subject's got something on them, feels explosive in nature, and the subject feels some sort of vendetta. Subject's not alone, like I said, there's plenty of subjects on the base surface here. A lot of these subjects feel like they don't really feel any type of way like this subject does. So I feel like this subject is kind of doing something, and these are kind of all like collateral damage subjects, unfortunately. Just big holes in the ground, structures kind of seem like they're coming apart, and a lot of energetics in the sky and people moving about like sporadically. All these holes on the ground too. They don't feel like they're kind of dropped, you know what I mean? I don't feel anything dropping down. It feels like everything is already here, and it's just like it just happens. And that's all I have. I didn't like the way that ended. We're gonna try it again. So yeah, just all these big whatever I said. It doesn't feel like it's coming out of the sky. It definitely feels like it's starting on the base surface, starting near these subjects that feel this sort of vendetta, feel this sort of hate, and just kind of cease to exist. And that's kind of what I have for this target.
Okay, so let's draw some conclusions from these data. December is going to be a really event-filled month. The world does not come apart in December, but there is ongoing disruptions and possible protests or demonstrations. The causes of the disruptions seem to be varied. It's not just one thing or one type of thing. Now, Trudy describes what appears to be a natural disaster near mountains and a city involving snow, like an avalanche. The sessions by Kahmia and Melena make me think about some place in a dry and poor environment, and I wondered if the rebellion situation in Ethiopia, or perhaps a similar setting or situation elsewhere, will erupt. The sessions by Princess, Rock, and Aziz all look very similar. Some urban area experiencing mass demonstrations of some kind, although Princess's session had the sense of an explosion also, which was absent from the sessions by Rock and Aziz. Well, join me in the month of December as we keep our eyes wide open. Again, these are experiments with remote viewing, and we could be wrong, but our track record with the application of remote viewing is really strong. So let's wait and see what happens during the month. I'm sure we will get some things right and some things wrong, but the unique character of these forecasted events is such that we should have no trouble identifying them if and when they occur. Now remember, a major pearl is coming up in a minute, a real presentation to the Galactic Federation of Worlds, so stay with us to the end. So that is it for our December 2020 edition of Farsight's Human News, the news before it happens. Thank you so much for watching. Please also join us next month in January 2021 for another look into the future of Earth humans. Also, be sure to look for the new releases on FarsightPrime.com this month, including our live stream events, the Farsight ET News, the live intelligence briefing with myself, the next major new mysteries release on December 15th, the Reptilians Here and Now, as well as the next Farsight 2-month economic forecast. I'm Courtney Brown, Director of Farsight. Now, please join me in the council chambers of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Remember, as you watch, you are there also. Your thoughts matter. Good. You are all here. Let's proceed to the council chambers. You all know the way. I want to thank you for granting me a hearing before this august body. Although my memories have been only partially restored, I sense that I may have stood before you or among you in the past. I come before you today as an Earth human, fully human in every sense of the word. I was born on Earth, a product of a human mother and father. I was raised as a human. I was educated as a human. And I had all of the perceptual limitations built into my genetics as would be typical of a normal human. My team, which also joins me here today, are also entirely human. Our physical bodies remain on Earth right now, and we have all traveled here of our own accord and using only our own abilities. My physical body is currently in a near dormant condition, in a state known on Earth as deep meditation, while my team is fully awake on Earth while their consciousness has shifted to this location using what humans would call a process of remote viewing. Now, my point is that we all stand before you as full humans. Except for a minor navigational incident where I was nearly intercepted en route by the Sea Card, we found you using our own human abilities, and we came here using only our own human abilities. We desire only for you to hear what we have to say, and for you to hear what we have to ask of you as humans from our imprisoned planet Earth. As you are all fully aware, the war in the Orion system resulted in a large number of refugees to flee to Earth over a great many years. Their normal transference to the planet was to be born there. Eventually, the Orion authorities discovered the refugee outflow, and they sent their representatives to transform Earth into a prison planet, extending their tyranny yet again. Technology was installed that is well known in the Orion system that erases a subject's memory upon physical death, implants false memories, and then recycles the subject back into another human life cycle, essentially keeping a population under lock and key without an easy way of escape. Forces from the Galactic Federation of Worlds managed to disrupt the overt control over the planet by the Orion operatives a few thousand Terran years ago. Those same Orion operatives still performed their repressive duties, albeit on a more limited matter and from hidden retreats. But what is perhaps more disturbing is that the Orion operatives have become allies of convenience to reptilian forces that have established a serious presence on Earth. The real controllers of the planet now are the reptilians, while the Orion operatives act to do much of the reptilian bidding. The condition of humanity on Earth now is one of deep repression. Humans are kept in a constant state of division. Religions and political ideologies have been established that are used to pit one human group against another in a non-ending cycle of violence and terror. Humans too easily see each other as enemies, and they are powerless to break from this cycle of blame and retribution. Still, there has been progress of a limited nature. Humanity has started to regain some of its collective memory, as is evidenced by such things as human architecture, which now resembles a close parallel to the architecture typical in Orion cities. Humans have also developed sizably in the realm of technology, and if they were left alone, they would undoubtedly be able to achieve interstellar travel capabilities in a relatively short period of time, a situation which I know worries you. I know that you do not want a chaotic and fragmented humanity arriving at your doorsteps, but that can be changed. Humanity can achieve more than this. Yes, I hear you. I know that humans are not culturally, politically, or emotionally ready to interact with the Galactic Federation of Worlds. They remain in need of development in those areas, but that development will be impossible if they remain under reptilian and Orion influence. They need freedom and gentle guidance from true friends who have no intention of enslaving them. As you know, the reptilians and the Orions want only to capture the resources of Earth, and humanity's genetic diversity is crucial in this regard. With a mixed gene pool from all over the galaxy due to Earth being both a place of refuge and a dumping ground for the unwanted creatives and more stifling civilizations, the gene pool of humanity is truly remarkable on any standards. The reptilians and the Orions want control over that gene pool. If it were not for the inhibiting presence of the forces loyal to the Galactic Federation of Worlds, the reptilians and the Orions would already be at war, fighting over control for that gene pool. They see humanity as no more than a pool of genetic slaves, as well as a resource of slaves for assorted other horrifying purposes, and you all know what they use humans for. I do not need to spell that out here. My time is limited here. I can keep my concentration focused on this location for only so long before the needs of my physical body drags my awareness back to Earth. So let me get to the point. Humanity requires your direct intervention to remove the reptilian and Orion forces from Earth. You know that humanity cannot do this by itself. You ask, why should I speak for all of humanity? Why should I assume to be their representative? I was not chosen or elected by anyone on Earth, but there are no elected or chosen representatives among humans who could claim this role. Human leadership on Earth has been totally compromised by the oppressive reptilian and Orion forces, sometimes unknowingly, but often with consent. None can act freely without mental manipulation, bribery, or external pressure. So I do claim the right to represent all of humanity, as is the right of all humans who can find the courage to discard the repressive control common to the Earth environment and reach out to you. I assume that right because I am here. No other reason is necessary. I have broken free from the mental manipulation of the reptilian and Orion forces. Both I and my team have come to you today as free humans. We are evidence, indeed proof, that humanity is worth saving. If even one human can break free from the totalitarian control of the oppressive forces, then it is evidence that all of humanity has that capability. We come here not to ask you to adopt us as your dependents. We come here to demand that we be allowed to become your equals. Humanity can become one of the greatest contributors to a positive future for the Galactic Federation of Worlds if it can be allowed to exist, free from the forces of enslavement. Judge humanity not by what it is now, judge it by what it can become under your tutelage, as friends, as equals. I ask you to remove the hidden oppressive forces that secretly tyrannize humanity and help Earth humans awaken to their true history and their confident destiny. Returning that history to them, that which has been so carefully erased from their collective memory, will free them, and it will allow you to see their true value as friends and allies. If you abandon humanity in this moment of greatest need and potential, then you will still have the same war-torn galaxy as you have now, and you will enable the most repressive forces in the galaxy to gain resources that they will ultimately use against you. I know it will not be easy for you to free humanity. The reptilians and the Orions will not leave Earth willingly, but if you assist humanity in its hour of need, you will one day, in the not-too-distant future, find that this same humanity will gladly fight alongside of you as you seek to liberate other worlds under the control of totalitarian forces. These humans will know full well what they are fighting for. Assist humanity now, and you create the potential for the rise of a species with a positive destiny, the likes of which this galaxy has never known.
Let's just go home now. You've said your piece. Let's just go.
Remote viewer, thanks for stopping by.